And I said two sentences, but there's one other one, and that is falling into the trap of this sentence. It's a killer in business, and it's the plague of I shouldn't have to-ism. I'm going to ask you to please watch out for these two sentences. The first sentence is this. In any learning environment, there's two sentences that will take you out the game, and the minute this happens in your head, you can't learn anymore. You're done. And the first sentence is this. I already know. Like, the minute you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I already know this. Look, I was once taught this. You only know something if you do it. It's like, oh, I already know how to do these talks. And when's the last time you did a talk? Like, oh, I already know this. You only know something if you do it. It's the first thing. And even if you know it and you do it, I'm probably sure there's someone in the room who does it better than you. That's why we're in a mastermind. That's why you can go learn from them in some way, shape, or form. That's the first one. And the next one is, this won't work for me. This won't work. People in Timbuktu just won't do that, Ryan. People in Spain would never do that, Ryan. People in Amsterdam, Ryan, would never do that. People in Jersey would never do that, Ryan. It doesn't matter where I speak, it's the same thing. The people in dentistry would never do that, Ryan. People in chiropractic would never do that, Ryan. It's the same thing. So that is, just watch out for that, because I can guarantee you whatever you think nobody will do. For instance, I just had a conversation with my inner circle members recently, and they're like, no, people in this place they'll never book ahead of time. Never. Yeah, people hate booking ahead of time. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because I just come from a practice 3 minutes down the road that everyone's booked ahead of time for a year. Those of you in London that think that people won't book ahead of time, one of my best friends, 400 a week in London. No one knows who he is. He doesn't come to any conferences. You will never know who he is. 400 a week in London, not one paper visit. He refuses. He's like, I just don't take paper visit. That's cool. Now, I'm not for it or against it. I'm just telling you that I'm not agreeing with the 100%. I'm just saying every single person in the practice pays for a mass. They take big plans in that practice. I'm not for it or against it. I'm just telling you what they do. And every single person books out for a minimum of 3 months ahead of time. So not one point in book. Now imagine the freedom that gives you at the front desk. Yes? Imagine where your CAs can actually be present, can actually talk about referrals. But I often get them like, no ways, Ryan, like people will never book 3 months ahead of time here. I'm like, oh, it's interesting because I just come from a practice, one of my inner circle members who does it all the time. In fact, they book out a year ahead of time. So we're going to talk about that in depth in a moment. In my practices, we have some of our practices that have a film of glass. A film of glass. One chiropractor practices here, this one practices here. This one says there's not enough new patients, blah, 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 blah. A film of glass separates them. This one's on 150, 200 a week, and they're in the same freaking practice. You guys understand, yes? Everyone say, it's all about me, baby. Like, you don't understand, so please. And I said two sentences, but there's one other one, and that is falling into the trap of this sentence. It's a killer in business, and it's the plague of I shouldn't have to-ism. Like, I shouldn't have to remind them 10 times to come to the meeting. Well, you kind of do. And I shouldn't have to send out reminder texts to remind every single person to come to the appointment. Well, whenever I say, well, I shouldn't have to, you're about to lose money. Yes? Every time we go, no, I shouldn't have to remind them 20 times to, like, you're going to have to lose money. You're about to lose money. A whole room of mastermind people, I shouldn't have to send you something in the post, but I shouldn't have to, you're going to lose money. You're thinking of the wrong way around. I'm going to teach you a concept of reverse loyalty in a moment. So give someone a high five and say, this is going to be good. Good.